Hey guys, I just want to, before the video even starts, before this interview starts, I just want to give a big shout out to Kym Illman for even coming onto this podcast. Everything that he does will be linked in the description. His book, all of his social media, his TikTok, his Instagram, all that stuff will be linked below. Go give him some love. Comment on his stuff here from Upshift or something like that. So yeah, just look at his stuff. If you don't know who he is, hopefully now you do. And just look at all his stuff. He's an amazing guy with amazing content. Thank you. Just check it out. Bye bye. And enjoy the video. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Upshift podcast, the podcast that's all about racing. Today we are here joined by a very special guest, one of the biggest F1 YouTubers and one of the most talented Formula One photographers. It is Kym Illman. Thank you so much for joining us.
G'day, Zachy. Is it Zachy?
Yes, Zachy.
Zachy Beauchamp.
Thank you so much. How's your day been, by the way?
Well, it's only just getting started. It's 10 a.m. in here, and I'm in lockdown. I'm in quarantine in a hotel in Perth, where I've been for 8 days, and I have another 6 to go.
Yeah, the lockdown rules that you have to be in 2 weeks, right?
14 nights in a row. Can't step out of the door.
Oh, that must be very difficult. Yeah, let's get straight into it. Obviously throughout this entire 2021 year, the COVID pandemic has been affecting everyone's jobs, especially maybe yours. How has COVID affected your job with photography in the paddock or around the circuit?
Well, for the first 2/3 of the year, we weren't allowed into the paddock. So we could only shoot drivers coming and going from the paddock, which is in the morning and late at night. And the media centre, if they had media centres inside the paddock, they had to be separated. So we had to have our own bubbles. And it was quite frustrating, as you can imagine. And we had to wear masks. However, come Austin, we were allowed back into the paddock. And things changed dramatically. And I guess the output from my end was enhanced significantly, because suddenly we could get photos with drivers. And of course, at that point, the drivers were a bit more relaxed. So you would often find them, perhaps not often, you would sometimes find them without masks on. Of course, they are much more preferable photos than ones with masks on. And if a driver has sunnies and a hat on, really, you're seeing a bit of their cheeks. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, obviously like the drivers around the paddock, they're very relaxed. It's kind of been their home, right, for the paddock for the past like year or so. Um, like you just said, you seeing the drivers. Did you have any like funny interactions with the drivers when you're in the paddock, or were they kind of just keep to themselves and do what they need to do?
Well, so in answer to your question, there's lots of funny stuff that happens. What comes to mind? I do happen to witness a lot of, and with a longer lens and you're further away, you can get drivers quite relaxed. For instance, a couple of races ago, there was an incident in the media pen after quali where Lando was being interviewed. Carlos was keen to get in there and do that interview with the same crew. So he's grabbed his towel and he's wrapped it around Lando's neck and just dragged him away. Now, if I could see something going to happen, so I was ready, and I was lucky that something did happen, because oftentimes it doesn't. And I captured a beautiful series of photos of that. And I think certainly my audience on Instagram, at Kym Illman Instagram, they love that sort of stuff. They like the candid emotion. Yeah, I put up some car pics, but quite frankly, a car picture will do roughly half, no more than half, unless it's a stunning picture like Lando coming out of the tunnel or Daniel coming out of the tunnel in Monaco. It's always going to be less impactful than a picture of a driver without a face mask on with some sort of expression or emotion. And that's the stuff that I look for. I'll spend more time in the paddock other photographers, because I tend to focus on people more than cars.
Hmm. Yeah, especially with the drivers, like you just said, Carlos and Lando. I think people really like their dynamic because like we don't really see many friends in F1, but like Lando and Carlos very have a very good connection. But actually let's take it back a while ago. Obviously your channel and your Instagram are very centered around photography. But was photography something that you always wanted to do, or did you like one day want to go into Formula One racing, or yeah, was it set on photography?
I bought a house. In fact, I built a house on the coast in Western Australia about 11 years ago. And it's about 90 minutes north of Perth. And it gave me an opportunity to spend my weekends up there. And then I figured, oh, I've got a lot of free time and not much to do. So I started focusing on photography, photographing the area around, and built the website, which is lanceillan.com.au. And the town is a small town, 700 people. And that got me a real passion for taking photos and using them online to promote the town and do some other sales stuff. And then I decided I would go to Africa and do a wildlife book with my wife. So she and I spent 26 weeks in Africa over 2.5 years, and we produced a great wildlife book and spent a lot of time photographing. And then I went to Abu Dhabi in 2016 for the last race of the year. I was with Red Bull. It's a hospitality package, so you get food and booze, and you get opportunity to meet the drivers. And one of the things was going down into the garage, standing in the little area at the back of the garage, headphones on, and you listen to the driver talk to the engineer. It was so unbelievably quiet and relaxed. And you hear Daniel talking to his engineer. It was that moment I thought, yeah, I'd like to photograph this sport. And I just put to the FIA what I thought I could do for the sport. I got accredited for testing, got accredited for the first race in Melbourne, got accredited for all the races that I applied for in 2017, which I think I did all. Yeah, I did every single race in 2017. Wasn't going to do any more than 6 or so in 2018. Ended up doing all but 2. And halfway through that year, I think I got excited about Instagram and went from 4,000 followers to now 283,000, and developed a real love of the special side of the sport that I'm covering.
Yeah. That's was it a very big transition to go from like wildlife photography to Formula One, or was it kind of something that came natural because it's motion kind of photography as well?
Well, a lot of wildlife is sitting around waiting for an animal to move, and that's exactly like F1, sitting around waiting for a driver to come in. Out on track, you know the cars are going to take the corner. You know roughly where they're going to be on the track. You don't know where a cheetah's going to run at speed. They go anywhere. So that's a tougher photography assignment, photographing a cheetah at full speed. But look, it's not hard. It's just a matter of time. And the longer you go, the more you learn and the better you become at it. And like I look at my first pictures now and I think, oh, they're pretty ordinary. I think, look, I think the same, some of the stuff I produce now, but my better stuff is a lot better than what my better stuff was, say, when I first started in 2017.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of go on that, like with improvement in photography for anyone who's like watching and who wants to be a photographer, like what would you say to kind of give them advice in how to get better at photography?
To get better at photography, go and
Yeah.
take a million pictures. Don't do a course. Go to the internet, find people who explain stuff on the internet. Go out and just take photos of cars on a freeway. If you want to focus on car racing, go out to little car meets, wherever it is. Look at pictures you've seen and try and work out how they were taken, and then go and do that. If you want to get into F1 photography, you should go and watch a video of mine called The Money Side of F1 Photography. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's available to VIP members. So you have to be a VIP member. Have a look at it. I'll explain a lot of the tricks. Hang on a second. Hang on. I'm just busy. I'll call you back. What happens here is they ring you when there's a delivery at your door, because you can't open the door until they ring you. But anyway, I'll call them later. But getting back to my point there, yeah, it's a matter of time and it's a matter of practice. And I was taught by some of the best photographers here at F1 that it's all about the background, because the cars are the same every single race. The drivers wear the same helmet, pretty much. It's what's behind and how you portray that car. So it's all about the background.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like you just said, like the Formula One cars are like, yeah, it is a Formula One car and everything's the same. It's just like the Monaco Tunnel, which you mentioned before. It's like a very ominous, like dark background but then the Formula One
Mm.
cars coming through, it's very, very, very cool. But I'm interested, what actually gear do you use these week to week basis for photography? Sorry.
Well, I've done a video on that too on my YouTube channel. I'd urge anyone interested to go and watch that. But in short, as it stands right now, and it's going to change in 2 months, I use two 1DX Mark IIIs, and I carry with me this year, because I had to take all of my lenses that I was going to use this year away with me and carry them all year. Normally I would go backwards and forwards between every couple of races, but not being able to arrive back into my country without quarantining meant that I had to stay away for 286 days. So I took a 600 mil, a 70 to 200, an 85, a 50, a 16 to 35. Yeah, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lenses. And pretty much I'll have a 70 to 200 on one camera, and I'll just swap the other one with one of those other 4 lenses, except when it's a night race and we're doing stuff in the paddock late, so it's dark, I'll always take out an 85 f1.2.
Mm-hmm. But you just said you guys travel a lot, hundreds of days per year, for going from one country to another. Do you have like a travel essential that you have that you can't travel without?
My laptop and my phone. In terms of other stuff, what do I take? No, I can buy clothes anywhere. No, that's all I think of. My laptop, my phone. Oh, there's a thing I have called a RAM mount, which is up there, but I can't show you. It sticks on the window of the car and allows me to mount a phone on it, which is great for when I'm driving with sat nav stuff, but also for doing my F1 videos. When I do my travel videos, I mount a phone on the front of the car and shoot forwards and do time lapse. It's the simplest thing, and it's great vision. So yeah, without that RAM mount, and I lost it this year, or somebody swiped it out of a rental car, yeah, I was at a loss for a good 3-4 races without it.
Yeah, like I feel like when you're traveling, uh kind of for me especially, like some of those like little things I'll use for a very long time, and then I won't notice like I have to like travel with some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going back to Formula One photography, what is like your most fond, most like enjoyable memory that you have being in the paddock from like any year, not just this year, but like being in the paddock of Formula One taking photos?
I think Nico Hulkenberg was always my best subject. We developed quite a relationship, and when I had that relationship with him, he would play up for my lenses and he would do fun things, and I would get the most remarkable photos, and people would always say, "Oh, your photos of Nico are great." And that's only because he knew that I would represent him well, and that he could actually see those images, because I would often post them on Instagram. And I think that's where a lot of local photographers, in fact, I know it's where the local photographers dip out, in so much as they don't know any of the drivers. The drivers will give them no attention because they don't know who they are, where the image is going to appear. And as such, they don't get the quality of personal photos that I would. Of course, they get the same pictures on track. That's a different matter. But when it comes to people, if you've got a relationship with them and you know them and they like you and they trust you, your photos will always be better, almost always be better than somebody else's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a very developing a relationship with that must be very cool, to be honest. Having a relationship with a Formula One driver. Yeah. Do you have actually any other relationships with one of the drivers that you kind of see and then wave to or something like that, or it
Oh,
was just Nico?
I would I'd speak to about half of them. Just hello, occasionally a quick chat. But the thing is, with this sport, there is no 10 minutes to stand around and have a chat, or rarely there is. Although when you come to testing, that's great because they don't have this time constraints. And often, like the other day, Lando was out on the pit wall with Max Futrell, and they had no commitments. They were just there to watch. And so it was a good opportunity to chat with them, and I learned a bit about Max's future and he's done and doing. And yeah, they're great opportunities. But Thursday to Sunday at a race meeting, you don't get really any more than 10, 15 seconds. And even then, you've got to be walking and talking. And oftentimes I'll walk backwards photographing and talk to a driver, because unless you keep walking, he's not going to stop.
Yeah. Like how do you capture those like brief images? Because like there are some images that I've seen on your Instagram where it's like the car is like sparking away at the exact like right moment, or like something's happening where you have to have like very split second reactions. How do you capture those?
Okay, so I'll take a photo in Saudi Arabia where the sun was setting, there was a mosque behind, and then cars were coming right to left. We're shooting through the wire, and it's quite an uncomfortable and tricky shot. And you just take 7 photos as they come past, because the current camera I shoots at 14 frames a second. The new one I'm getting shoots at 30. So instead of getting 7 frames in a half second, I'm going to get 15. And one of those 15 frames hopefully is sharp. And hopefully there's something happening, like the shot of Max had all the sparking out of the car. Now, sometimes that's good planning. More often than not, it's just very good luck that the car comes through. It's doing a hot lap. It does bottom out. It does spark, and you've got the car sharp, and you've got the lovely background. All those things have to come into line. I'll give you another example. One of my best photos is of Daniel Ricciardo coming onto the grid in Hockenheim in 2019. There was rain, so he's driving towards me. I'm standing in the middle of the track because he's driving towards me and stopping. Then they're going to put the car on the coasters and roll him up the grid to his spot. So there's no other people behind me. I'm the furthest one down the pit straight. Daniel's coming towards me. There's water flicking off his tyres, so you can clearly see that the car is moving. You've got Max 200 metres behind him, also coming around the corner. So there's 2 cars in shot, and it's very clear that these cars are in motion. You've got a grandstand behind. Now, to get that photo again, you need a Sunday race day. You need rain. You need Daniel coming towards you. You need another car behind, and you need that grandstand to be reasonably close. And that Hockenheim grandstand is probably one of the closest grandstands to that final corner. Now, they are an amazing set of circumstances that you would be very lucky to get again.
Mm. Yeah, that actually reminds me of, I think, a picture of, I believe it was Belgium, I think, out of the first corner. I think you had like a shot of, I think it was a McLaren, like through the fence gapping. Like, how
To
do
the
you?
bottom of Eau Rouge.
Yeah. How do you?
Yeah.
How do you get those shots? Like, do you like? How do you? I don't know. Like, how do you have a sense to place the camera exactly here? Do you have like a certain thing that you have
It's
to?
not very difficult. It's seriously not that difficult. You've got a gap in the fence that's that wide. You put your camera lens as close as you can to it. You set your shutter speed at, say, well, it depends. If you can pan and move with the car, you could have maybe 1,000th of a second because they're going pretty quick. But if you've got to hold it stationary, you've got to be at 5,000th or an 8,000th of a second to freeze the action. And then you just hope that the thing sparks. And I think you're talking about Lando sparking, because I remember that shot very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even know it had sparked until about a minute later, had to look back through a whole host of pics, and then uploaded that one pretty quickly. Yes, there is a lot of luck, but you also have to know how to set up the shot. And quite frankly, at that spot at the bottom of Eau Rouge, I'm more than happy to be down behind the fence, because standing above it is nearly terrifying, but it's certainly frightening.
Yeah. And there's also an element of luck with these some of these shots, like you said. I think it was Carlos Sainz, I think in the Netherlands, I believe, when he spun and hit the wall, and you just said that you have to be you were just in the right place at the right time, and you caught him crashing into the barriers. So this is this is not related to what I just said. But do you ever think of like also photographing other motorsports like Formula E or IndyCar, or do you want to just stick to Formula One?
I have no more time. I'm short of time, and I have no. Well, look, there's one thing I wouldn't mind doing, perhaps Daytona or Le Mans 24-hour. However, they'd have to fall on the right weekend. I'd have to be in that country and not be too far, and then I have to get accredited. There's no guarantee that I'll be accredited. I think having the social media audience that I have, and at the moment it's about 570,000 followers on the 4 different platforms total, which would help, but there's no guarantee that the media people will say, yeah, look, I applied for Bathurst last year. Turns out I wouldn't have been able to go because of our lockdown laws, but they didn't even get back to me. And I could have introduced their sport, which is V8 car racing in Australia, to probably 300,000 people.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For someone like me who's like a very small content creator, how would you say what advice would you give for someone who's trying to build their name in Formula One or in social media in general?
I got no idea. Honestly, I have no idea what anyone else should do. I only fell into this at the insistence of my son with Instagram. I realized that other drivers were doing it. I hated Instagram. And not drivers, photographers. And so I thought, oh, well, peer group pressure, perhaps I should have a crack. With the video side of thing, my son's pushed me long and hard to do it. And I kept resisting. And then at some point I said yes. And I thought, oh, I'll just do it like this. And it was pretty tacky. And the first video I did, he just looked at it and said, you can't put that up. I said, why? That's disgraceful. So then he stepped in and helped me and set it up. And look, they're improving, but they take too long. They really take a long time. And I've got to work out. And I've got a company in Perth with 45 staff that does messages on hold. And that's been my business for the last 33 or 4 years. And I've got a couple of very good graphics and IT people who provide some sort of support for me. And their job at the moment is to work out a way to automate a lot of what is very manual work with video editing.
That's what I was just about to say, actually, because the way your videos are edited, a lot of people like me, I like how the way everything flows together, and the kind of like mini intros, like the travel tips, that graphic. Do you have like a massive team of like 8 or like 10 people like working around you to get these videos out?
No,
Or is it...
Nick Holes is my graphics guy, and he is exceptional. And his job is to provide thumbnails for every video. So sometimes he'll get a call at 4 a.m. here Perth time, and he'll be asleep, and I'll say, right, I need 2 thumbnails quickly, please. And he'll get up, and he'll do them for me. So I pay him well, and I rely on him a lot. The openers, the stuff you see, also done by him, but once they're done, that might be a day's work, and then they last a year or 2 or 3 years. But pretty much everything else, I've had Nicole's edit a couple of videos, but I have to tell him and provide him with the photos and tell him where they go. And quite frankly, yes, it saves me 2 or 3 hours, but it would take him 6 hours to do what I could do in 2 or 3. But that allows me then to go and work on perhaps another video. It's cost effective to do it, but ideally I'd like Nicole's to be as quick as me, but I know that that's not going to happen anytime soon. And also with the photos, someone said, oh, can't you just let people put the right photos in at the right point? Well, there's no chance they're ever going to know what photo I'm thinking about when I voice something that needs to be populated with pictures over the top. And of course, we can't shoot live vision at the track because we're only allowed to shoot stills.
Yeah. Yeah, this, although I was just gonna say, like, the way your videos are edited, they're very smooth. They look, you know that they're professional when you see these videos. But also some of your videos is obviously centered around traveling as well. Obviously, since, like I said before, the COVID lockdown, how has that affected traveling to going, what, 10, 16, 10, 15 different countries now, this season?
25.
25, yeah.
Did 25 countries, 33 hotels, 9 Airbnbs, and 1 yacht last year. Oh, actually, if you count this hotel, well, there's an extra one I forgot to put in. How does it affect? Just more paperwork. We luckily with F1, it allows us to get into these countries when a lot of countries just will not let you enter. But the drawback of that is you have to provide quite a bit of paperwork, and sometimes it's an hour or 2 hours to get everything in order to go to, say, Saudi Arabia. That was probably the trickiest one. You have to provide for them a detailed list of every piece of electronic equipment you take in, along with the serial number for each piece of equipment, a rough value, and a photograph. Now that, once done, you've got them to use forever. But it's that first time you have to do it. That's a heck of a lot of time. And then sometimes you can roll up at these places and they don't even ask for any of it. And you think, what's the point of going and doing all that work if you didn't need it? And of course, there's PCR tests. I did probably 50 this year. And what else? just the bookings. A couple of times I'll roll up at a place. Oh, we haven't got a booking for you. I thought I booked. No, you haven't booked. Rightio. So that's a bit of a drama. But look, this year I only had 2 flights that were cancelled, both of them at the airport before I got there. I thought I was going, and I rolled up at the airport. No, that flight was cancelled. Nice of you to tell me. But in the end, we sorted it both out. There was no real drama. It was just a bit of frustration for an hour and a half.
Mhm. Yeah, now traveling is it's very weird now because like you just said like have to do so much paperwork now. And
Yep.
yeah, it's everything's just very out of whack now these days now with the lockdown. But another question that we have is has anyone influenced your career, like your career path, like directly influenced, or you saw someone doing it and then you said, I want to do this?
No, not with F1 photography, although there are a couple of photographers out the track who are unbelievably good, who have more than happy to show me and almost give me tuition. And there's one bloke in particular who's at GEM, and often I'll see him walking out and he'll go, come on, come with me. And he'll take me out and we'll sit and stand in a spot there and he'll explain what he's doing. And without a doubt, that improves my photography no end. But in terms of, do I have any mentors? Apart from that guy, no, I haven't really looked at anyone. Look, I like Vladimir Reis's pics. I like Florent Gooden. I like Antoine's pictures. And then a handful of other guys that I really like there. James Gasparotti's good. But yeah, they're car photos. And those guys have been doing it for maybe 20 years. And I've been doing it for 4. So I'm never, ever going to be, well, I wouldn't have thought I would catch up to them with the quality of my work. Certainly some photos can be as good as theirs, but not every photo. Like a golfer, it's possible for all of us to have a hole in one, but a pro golfer is going to get closer to the hole every time than you are. It's just a learning thing. You just constantly learn. And at the moment, I'm just about to sit down because I've got some assignments next year that I have to produce some better car pics. I'm going to actually make some spots because oftentimes or make some plans for spots to shoot. Oftentimes, I don't know where I'm going to shoot 10 minutes before the start of a session. And really, that's just poor planning on my part. So I've got time. I'm locked up in quarantine. It's a good opportunity for me to fine tune what I'm doing next year.
Yeah, I was about to ask, do you have any like plans about like specific races you're gonna attend next year, or are you gonna just attend the entire season?
I'll do all of them.
All of
I'm
them?
doing all of them.
Are you
Yeah.
gonna try to do anything like special for any race, or just just go there, do what you need to do, and then head to the next race?
Well, Monaco, I'll be at the tunnel again because I know that picture just sells its pants off. And commercially, yeah, I'll probably spend a good session there, a whole 1 hour. Normally, you'd spend a little bit of time and you move on to a couple of other places, but that is one spot that you are well advised to spend a full hour. And just once you get a picture of a car coming out and it's good, then you go for better, then you go for best. So initially, to give you an idea, and that's the shot of Lando coming out of the tunnel and Daniel and Charles. They're my top 3 selling pictures this year. And if you go to prostarpics.com and type in Lando Tunnel, Daniel Tunnel, you'll find those pictures. But that involves lying on the ground, shooting in a very uncomfortable angle with this sort of camera here. However, I'm getting next year, early in the year, I'm getting 2 R3s, which have a tilt-out screen like this. So that is invaluable for putting on the ground and looking down because you don't have to get your eye down there.
Yeah.
And then you spend an hour, you get your fast shutter speed shots, say at 1,000th of a second. You've got them in the bag. And then you start dropping it down to 500th of a second, which are harder to get sharp, but they show a bit more motion in the wheel. And then you might even try, say, 100th of a second where it's a bit more blurry in the background with the car sharp. But certainly you get the one in the bag at a fast shutter speed, so at least you've got something you can sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just every time I look at your pictures, like I'm just wondering, how do you get like that specific angle, or like how do you get like this moment? It's amazing, to be honest. And I got one more question here. What is your first F1 memory?
Uh, of the sport, it would be going to the Adelaide Grand Prix with my good friend Brett Waterman, sitting in the rain for a whole day, watching practice, probably sometime in the 80s, with Ayrton Senna. F1 photography-wise, my first memory would be shooting testing at Barcelona in 2017, going down to, what would that be, 1, 2, 3, about turn 7 or 8 or 9 somewhere, and standing trackside. And that was the first experience I'd had being so close to the cars, and it was a real buzz, exciting, and I was quite proud of some pics I took, and then I showed it to a couple of people, and they said, yeah, well, you got that in the background, that in the background, you don't want to do that, you want to do more of that. And I go, okay, right. So that's where setting your bar high makes your photos better.
Yeah. So yeah, you've been doing this for a very long time, and obviously you're very, very
Well,
experienced.
only 4 full seasons, so I'm still a rookie,
Yeah.
really.
Well, yeah, in the I think but yeah, it's 4 years of experience in anything. I feel like is very obviously very knowledgeable now. But yeah, we're gonna go into a few fan questions if that's okay.
Fire away.
This one comes from Penguin Michael. What is the race you are most excited to go back to since we haven't been there in 2019?
Japan for the photography and culture, but not for the accommodation. The people are beautiful. The track is fantastic, but just the accommodation is atrocious all around the area. Nothing close of any quality.
Mm-hmm. All right, going through a few more here. The real Gianni 33196 asks, these are really interesting names to be honest. These are weird names. Who's your favorite driver and why? And also, what's your favorite cheat meal? Don't really fully know what that means, but yeah. What's your
I don't
favorite?
have a favorite driver. I just don't have one. Although if you watch my video that I put up yesterday, I do allude to one at the end. Cheat meal. Was that just a quick meal?
I think it's
What's a cheat meal?
maybe like a dessert, maybe, I think. Possibly. I think yeah.
Is it?
Maybe.
Well, I
I
like
think
lemon meringue pie. And if it's a cheat meal, what I have is bad food. I don't know. Anyone from Saudi Arabia will know Al Baik, and they have some great prawns, some crumbed prawns, which I had. And all the Saudi people say, oh, you got to go to Al Baik. You got to go to Al Baik, try their chicken. Well, I didn't rate their chicken, but their prawns were good.
Yeah. All right. We have two more here. This comes from JJR Chuck. What types of photos did you most enjoy taking? F1 cars, drivers, or wildlife?
At the time, wildlife was thrilling because I used to use a remote control buggy, and we used to put it out and get unbelievable shots of animals from a low angle. And if you look online at KymIllman.com, you'll see my book, Africa on Safari. And the front cover pic is the quite most magnificent shot of a hippo taken from this buggy. It's about 5 meters from it. So it's a sensational piece of technical equipment to shoot low angle stuff where the animals don't see a human, so they're not quite as afraid and they're more inquisitive. But I like taking photos of people. I like the human emotion that you get from that.
Yeah, it shows more than like you can't tell if they're having a bad day or a good day from the car or something like that. Yeah.
No, you can't. With the helmet
Yeah.
on and
Yeah, you can't see
balaclava,
anything.
no, nothing.
Yeah.
No.
This one comes from Lights Out F1. Who do you think is the nicest driver on the grid?
Nicest.
Yeah.
Look, they're all nice. There's not one of them that's rude. Kimmy and Lewis are busy, so you won't get any time talking to them. But all the other guys are just genuine. They're normal people, and I always think they're a bit like golf pros, where they have to be nice to everyone because they don't know who's going to be doing positive things for them. I don't find any of them to be anything but nice.
Yeah, they all seem very like chilled out guys. And obviously when they put on the helmet and they're racing, they're not chill at all. But yeah, they seem very, very laid back and nice guys. This is our final question. from F1 Super Memes. Nice name. Uh, what's your biggest mistake you've made as an F1 photographer?
I miss a lot of shots because I'm doing something else. Look, it wouldn't be a mistake. It'd be pure bad luck that earlier this year in Imola, I was at a photo hole near where George and Valtteri crashed, and I decided I'd go somewhere else. I put my cameras over my shoulders and I picked up my bag and I walked 5 or 6 seconds, 10 meters, and I looked up and Valtteri and George had crashed. Had I have waited 15 seconds, I would have had that crash and I would have had all of the aftermath pics. But in the end, I just got the aftermath where George went over and slapped Valtteri on the head. But yeah, that's not a mistake. That's just pure bad luck.
Yeah. Like what I think Bob Ross said, where it's like there's no mistakes, just happy accidents. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you so much, Kym, for joining us. You can find him and all his stuff. It will be linked in the description. Pro Star Picks, his Instagram, Twitter, YouTube channel, everything that he has will be linked in the description
And
below.
TikTok.
And TikTok. Yeah. And his TikTok below. Anything you want to say as you close?
Go and get yourself one of my F1 driver photo books. There's about 24 now, and you can get them from KymIllman.com. And everyone who gets them is enamored because the print job is quite phenomenal. Going back 2 years ago, I saw this thing online, get a free book printed. And I thought, oh, there'll be a catch here. And they said, you just pay for the postage, we'll send you a book. I thought, oh, yeah, I'll do one anyway, just for fun. So I got the book and I thought, wow, that's amazing because it's not printed on paper. It's printed on hard card and the quality is sensational. So that's been a great thing for me because I can print one book and still make a profit. Normally, with a book, if you get 10,000 printed, you don't make any money until you've sold 9,000. This is completely different. I can do a run of 1 or 2 books, and it's still cost effective for me and for the punter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be also linked in the description below. Thank you so much for Kym for joining us. And once again, this was the Upshift Podcast. Thank you everyone for joining, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.
Ciao.